Am I the a-hole for yelling at my pregnant sister-in-law and telling my husband to choose me or her? Original post. See, I know the title sounds wrong, but please hear me out. I'm currently typing this all up while my husband's entire family is sitting downstairs. So I, 29 female, have been married to my husband for 8 years. About 2 months ago, I had my third miscarriage at 31 weeks. I won't be talking about it because it makes me feel so depressed, but you'll need to remember this. About 4 months ago, my sister-in-law, 20, came crying at our doorstep, telling us she's pregnant and her boyfriend didn't want anything to do with the pregnancy and had nowhere to go. My husband and I openly took her in, welcomed her into our home with open arms. For the first few weeks, it was really hard for her, understandably. I sat with her for hours, holding her when she cried, binging our favorite TV shows, eating so much ice cream we quite literally fell into a coma. It was really bonding for us, or so I thought. Here's where it starts going downhill. I take pride in my neat, clean home. My sister-in-law, on the other hand, did not. She would leave her clothes all around the house, leave her dirty dishes wherever, even went as far as leaving her toys on our living room table. I tried to talk to her directly before I talked to my husband, and she immediately started crying and told me she'd try to be cleaner. I hugged her, told her it was okay, but this is a clear boundary for me. She told me it won't happen again. But it only got worse. She told me I was expected to do her laundry, dishes, and clean her room daily because she's the pregnant one. Well, I do understand how hard it is being pregnant. I just couldn't allow feeling like a maid in my own home. Disclaimer, I bought this house, not my husband. It was all me. Not to mention my recent loss of my child. So I told my husband, but what he told me shocked me. His exact words were, "Honey, she's going through a lot right now. We really should be helping her out. Plus, it might make you feel better to take care of someone who's pregnant." I was mad to say the least. Make me feel better? She's going through a lot? We need to help her. Letting her stay with us wasn't enough? While I don't want to invalidate her pain, my husband and I were also going through our own problems. Anyways, we moved on. I did my best to maintain work and household chores. My husband works 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., so he isn't around to help much. I work full-time from home, so it's been super stressful. When I even try to ask for help from my sister-in-law, she always makes an excuse, even if she's just watching TV. The one thing that pushed me over the edge was, I went out to buy my one food that I have actually enjoyed eating after my miscarriage. I wrote my name on it and directly asked my sister-in-law to not eat it. Well, I went to go to my fridge to get it, and you'll never guess, she freaking ate it. Now you may think it's just food. I buy all the groceries, basically pay all the bills. I don't mind people having some of my food, but the one thing I ask to not be touched gets touched. So I told my husband, and of course, he rubbed it in my face that she's pregnant, that I need to be less selfish, and life is about sacrifices. I was so upset. I told him I felt like him and her were the horrible roommates people talk about on Reddit. He didn't take that well, lol. Which leads us to my title. My sister-in-law planned a random baby shower party thing at my house. I personally didn't know if I could even be home when this was happening. I felt so hurt that she wouldn't talk to me knowing everything that has happened, and that she would just invite random strangers into another person's home before asking. My husband urged me to go, told me it would permanently affect mine and her relationship. So I told him I'd go. About halfway through the party, my husband and sister-in-law announced that they wanted to show the nursery to everyone. I was confused. Nursery? She was staying that long? What room did she turn into a nursery? They told everyone to head upstairs, and that's when it hit me. They were talking about my nursery for my baby I had just lost. A wave of emotions hit me when I saw everyone in my baby's nursery, telling her what a good job they did setting it up. My setup for my baby that my body failed to give me. I just lost it. I started sobbing, then that sadness turned into pure rage. I started yelling at my sister-in-law, telling her she's the foulest human for putting me through everything she has for the last few months, making me feel like I was a maid or an object for her convenience. Through choked-up tears, I turned to my husband whose jaw was on the floor. I turned my head to see his entire family just staring at me, and I lost it again. Yelling, I looked at my sister-in-law telling her how dare she use my nursery for my baby. How dare she think she has the right? What she told me made me fall to my knees sobbing. It's not my fault you couldn't produce a child. Why let this go to waste? You're so selfish. My husband tried to pick me up off the floor, but I yelled again. Standing to my knees, which were now shaking, I told him, pick. a dumbfounded look on his face. I yelled again, "Pick, me or her." He couldn't even muster up anything to say. I just looked at him, pure betrayal. I pushed past a crowd of family and ran straight up here to type this out. Even if no one sees this, at least it's helped me to let these emotions out. Now is the point where I ask, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry for what you've been through. It's maybe time to reconsider your marriage. Your husband disrespected you and didn't take in consideration your feelings in your home. Tell your sister-in-law to take her belongings and get out of the house immediately. It's unacceptable behavior. You deserve respect. And you're not a maid. You're a person with feelings, with traumas. You need to heal. And for that, you need her out. And maybe your husband for a moment. The time to think about what you want for your future. You must be broken, and it's so understandable. Please seek for help and therapy. I wish you best for the future. I feel like husband and sister are not done yet. Something tells me that there's another thing coming, even bigger than the nursery. Do you think they're going to ask for her to stay and co-parent? Not the a-hole. Ask her to leave ASAP. She obviously has other family. They can have her. If your husband doesn't like it, he can go too. If he stays, you need couples counseling as it doesn't seem to consider you a priority, and that needs to change. You didn't have a miscarriage at 31 weeks. You had a stillbirth. And that's very hard to take. That's what I was thinking. 31 weeks is premature, but definitely not just a miscarriage. I've got family members who all suffered multiple miscarriages, most before 14 weeks, and that was still highly traumatic. At 31 weeks, OP birthed a child. Another family member of mine had a child born at 29 weeks, and you'd better believe that was a baby. Had to spend about 6 weeks in the NICU and was quite tiny, but is now thankfully nearly 2 and thriving. The level of trauma the husband and sister-in-law put OP through is beyond disgusting. Clearly the husband is in serious denial over the loss of his child too, or he's a sociopath. The fathers of all the miscarried children I knew grieved the loss just as much as their wives. They both wanted the children that didn't survive, and were both broken by it. You know, come to think of it, I'm starting to wonder if the reason OP's husband is getting so defensive over his sister is because he sees this as a chance to replace the baby they lost. I'm not excusing him because he's allowing his sister to treat his wife horribly, but it feels like a really unhealthy coping mechanism. My thoughts exactly, and I was looking for someone to say it. He's going to take this baby as if he's the dad, keep sister in the house forever, and OP can be the third wheel to clean up after the kid. Tell them both to GTFO, not the a-hole. Yes, not the a-hole. I think that was quite possibly the meanest, most hurtful, disrespectful thing I've seen on here yet. The betrayal of those words your sister-in-law said to you while standing in your nursery are awful, vile, and disgusting. I'm so sorry, OP, for all that you've been through. Kick her butt out ASAP. And let your husband know if he ever treats you like that again, he's out the door right behind her. That's of course if you don't kick him out ASAP too, which you'd be right to do. Now for the update. I'm not quite sure if this is the proper way to do an update, but hopefully everyone can see it. First, I just want to address a few comments. I know I had stillborn. The only reason I say miscarriage is because that is what my obstetrician told me was happening. Here's the updates everyone's been asking for. Buckle up, it's a long one. After posting my story on here, I sat in my bed wiping my tears and telling myself I will not take this disrespect. I walked downstairs, shutting my nursery door on the way. I was greeted with everyone comforting my sister-in-law. I kindly asked everyone besides my sister-in-law and husband to respectfully get the heck out of my house. After all the dirty looks and shaming, they left, and it was just my husband, sister-in-law, and myself. They sat themselves on a couch, not saying anything. I sat with them. The silence felt like forever. None of us had anything to say. I knew I had to start the conversation. I looked at my husband and said, "Did you decide?" He looked at me just staring. I asked again in a firm tone this time. He ended up mumbling some sort of insult, and I couldn't really make out what he said. Something with witchy. I stood up and told them both to get out. Then they wanted to talk, telling me this is all a misunderstanding, they're sorry, blah blah blah. I grabbed a backpack from my shoe closet and told them to pack their things. My sister-in-law told me I couldn't just make her leave, and I was a horrible person. I laughed in her face and told her this is my house, and I can do whatever I wanted. My husband stood next to me and told her it was only for a little while. I turned to him and said, "Oh, you too, get out." He got all mad and told me we were a married couple and that this isn't how marriage works. I told him no, it is not. Marriage is where two people support each other and not treat their wife like crap. They both ended up leaving after many insults towards me. Oh, but wait, it's not over. This morning, as I was getting ready for a Zoom meeting with a few other coworkers, my husband showed up. I let him in, telling him to get whatever he needed and to go because I had to work. He started apologizing and telling me he wants to make it right. I told him I just need time away from him. Then he threw in my face, "Well, it's not my fault you lost our children. Maybe this would have never happened." My sister was right. You are selfish. I have never ever made my husband feel like he cannot grieve with me over this. Never made him feel less than because of his pain. I turned around and slapped him in the face. I never condone violence, and I'm very upset I would ever do that to another human, but I just couldn't deal with this. He took a step back and then threw all of my makeup on the floor, which I get, but then he started breaking all of my decor in my bathroom. I yelled at him to stop and that I was sorry, but he just kept going, even going as far as punching a hole in my bathroom wall. It was like I was seeing all of these bottled up emotions from our children's death come out. But it went too far when it tried to grab me, yelling in my face. I kicked him off and told him to get the heck out. He walked out of the bathroom, and I watched him break a few more items as he left. The second he left, I had a panic attack, looking at the mess he made, to even just seeing how much he hid his pain. I called my mother and told her everything that has been happening. I don't talk to my family much due to some past trauma with them. She told me she was on her way. The second she got here, I just broke down and she held me. Then she stood up and started taking pictures of everything he broke. I asked her what she was doing, and she turned to me and said, "We're suing this POS." I honestly didn't even argue. I was so hurt by everything my husband did to me. My mom packed up my computer and I grabbed a few outfits. My mom and I drove to a hotel, and she insisted on staying with me. While I finished up work, my mom called the locksmith and my attorney. I will be divorcing him as well. So there it is. Here's the update everyone has been waiting for. I feel guilty for just giving up on my husband in 8 years of our marriage. But it's time for a divorce. I can't live like this, and neither can my husband. I wish I could say we moved on, forgave each other, and I got to see my sister-in-law have her baby. But that's not reality. If anything else happens, I will let you all know. Thank you guys for the support and help with this situation. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my husband's family see my child after they demanded paternity tests? I just gave birth to my baby, and I have refused that my husband's family see her. At my work, I'm very close to my colleague who is a married man. We have been friends for a while. Another colleague of ours was in love with him or something, but he's married. So she didn't like the rejection. She made some accusations about him to see what would stick. One of them was that I was having an affair with him. It became very big. I was pregnant at a time, and my husband never really believed the rumors because we love each other. His family, however, doesn't love me. They demanded testing my baby, and I refused. But my husband sided with them at a time because he is conflict avoidant. Now they want to play family, which I refuse. They're not a part of my family. They never liked me, and they couldn't even hold their excitement about the rumors, even if it meant the heartbreak of their beloved son and the dissolution of his marriage. They are calling me a-hole and say they have rights to my baby. Edit: a test was taken while I was pregnant. Mother-in-law insisted that she didn't even wait for the bastard to be born. My colleague was cleared when the accusations became very serious and police got involved. And the idiot female colleague was dumb enough to have texted with her best friend about her plans. She no longer works with us. Nobody ever apologized to me. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Tell mother-in-law you fully expect a paternity test on your husband. Oh gosh, lol. Thank you. I needed this laugh. Yes, cheaters are the first to accuse. You need a test before the in-laws can be considered family. But really, why would they hear any gossip about your workplace? Pretty sure they heard from a husband. Would make me question if he truly didn't believe it on some level to side with his parents and use the excuse he just wants to avoid conflict. So take the test. So my mom had the exact situation when she was pregnant with me. My dad was military and was shipped out. After he left, my mom found out she was pregnant with me. My grandmother was convinced I was a child of an affair and had all these demands. My dad didn't believe it, but humored his mother because he also is conflict avoidant when it came to his mom. My grandfather, weirdly enough, didn't care. Surprise, surprise, I'm my father's son. But my grandmother was an absolute prick to me all growing up. Whenever no one was looking, she made sure to try and convince me I'm a bastard and terrible, like my mother, etc. When I got married, she wore white to my wedding to cause drama even. She genuinely hated me my whole life because I embarrassed her, because she told everyone my mom had an affair, and it turned out to not be true. Not the a-hole, and I wouldn't trust them to treat your baby well when people aren't watching. I feel bad for your grandma. She's delusional. She thought she would overshadow your beautiful bride by wearing white? What was she expecting? To make people confused about who's the bride? I wished I was invited to your wedding. I would have asked her, "Wow, Granny, I didn't know you were still a virgin." You are very kind to invite that miserable old crone to your wedding. Honestly, the moment she showed up in white, would have had security quietly escort her out. People like that don't change. And the fact she treated you bad over her mistake? Nope. Cut them out. I hope you're doing better. Not the a-hole. My son's father's aunt decided to make comments when my son was 1 that was I sure about his paternity, because he didn't look anything like that side of the family. Guess who hadn't seen my son for 13 years now? People are so stupid. My 2 youngest sons don't even look like siblings. The older one is the spitting image of his dad. In fact, without his dad next to him, it looks like we adopted him. The younger looks like my family. Standing next to his dad and brother, you would think he was adopted. Kids don't always have visible traits from both sides, especially at 1-year-old for Pete's sake.